you can draw this in Procreate. This amazing looking landscape inside a sphere might look very difficult to draw, but I promise you this is really easy. In this easy Procreate tutorial, I will be guiding you through all the steps to create this. We'll start with easy shapes, flat colors, and then eventually we will add all the effects that will make this look like a real glass sphere. I'm sure you will be amazed with what you can do. I really enjoy seeing all your results from my tutorials, so be sure to share it. If you're sharing it on Instagram, then tag me in the image, not just in the description, because only that way I will be able to find your work, and then maybe we will see it in the next video. Just like these amazing results from my friends at Patreon. That's the place you can go if you want to watch even more Procreate tutorials, because I have more than 150 there. So that's more than enough to keep you busy and to help you improve your Procreate drawing and painting skills. For this tutorial, we're working on a canvas that is 3,500 pixels by 3,500 pixels, and I have linked a color palette in the description. Also, we will be using some brushes from my free Procreate treasure chest. If you don't already have it, then be sure to go to freefromflow.com to get it. It's totally free and you will get loads of free brushes. But now, if you are ready, let's get started. We'll start off by changing the color of our background. Let's do that by just grabbing the first color in the first row of the color palette and then drag it onto the canvas. Then we'll create a new layer by going to the layer menu and then tapping the plus. And then for our brush, we will go to the calligraphy brushes that are already in Procreate, and then we'll use the monoline brush. And then for the color, we will grab this one over here. First color in the second row. Make sure to set the opacity to 100%, and I'll set the size to 30%. And then we'll make a circle like this. It's okay if it's wobbly, you can just hold your pen in place to make it snap to the quick shape, and then hold one finger on the screen to make it snap to a perfectly round circle. Then drag in the color to fill your circle, and then we are going to make sure that our circle is in the center of our canvas. We'll do that by going to the Move and Transform tool, that's the little arrow here. And here at the bottom we will go to Snapping, and then we'll turn on Snapping. Now when we move our circle around, we will see these lines. I hope you can see them, these orange lines. And once you see them, you will know that your circle is in the center of your canvas. I do want to make it just a little bit smaller, but now to make sure that our circle remains a circle and doesn't turn into an oval, you need to make sure that you have this setting set to uniform. And then you can drag one of these handles to make it a little bit smaller, and then make sure to drag it to the center again. Then you can tap the arrow to get out of this menu. Next, I'd like to add a little gradient to our circle. We'll do that by first setting this layer to alpha lock. We'll tap the layer and we'll turn on alpha lock. And now when we use a brush on this layer, it won't go outside of that circle. You can only paint on what's already there on this layer. And for our brush, we are going to the airbrushing brushes and use the soft brush. And for the color, we will use the next one, the second color in the second row. The opacity of this brush is at 70%, and let's set the size to 25%. And now let's go over the center area and create a bit of a circle like this. Make multiple strokes. So it looks a bit like this. Then we'll go to the magic wand here and tap Gaussian blur. Now you can slide to the right on the screen with your pen and your finger and turn up the blur. And we will set it to, well, let's say around 30%. And then just tap the magic wand again. For the next part, we are going to work on the landscape inside of our sphere. And to make sure that that landscape, well, stays inside that circle, we are going to make a new layer by tapping the plus, and then we will set that layer to clipping mask. It's a bit the same like alpha lock, so whatever we draw here or paint here, it'll only show up on what's on this layer. So that's the circle. Now for our brush, I would like to use one of the calligraphy brushes. I'll use the script brush. The script brush is a bit like the model line. It has a crisp edge, but the harder you press with your Apple Pencil, the thicker your line will become. And for the first color, let's grab this one, third color in the second row. Now the opacity of this brush is at 100%, and I have the size set to 10%. And now we are going to create our first mountain. We'll start about here, make a line going up, make a wiggly line going down, all the way to the right, loop around to close the shape, and then you can drag in the color to fill it. Then we'll make a new layer on top of this, so we'll tap the plus, and again, we will set this layer to clipping mask. And for the color, we'll move on to the next one, which is the fourth color in the second row. We'll start here on the left side. We will move up here and make a mountain that is about the same height as the other one. Go to the right, loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Then for the next one, again, we'll tap the plus in the layer menu, tap the new layer, and set it to clipping mask. And we'll move on to the next color, fifth color in the second row. We'll start about here, make a hilly shape here. Move to the right, go a bit higher here. Then all the way to the right, loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Then on to the next layer. Let's tap the plus, set that layer to clipping mask, then grab the next color, which is the sixth color in the second row. We'll start over here, make one here on the left side, go in front of this one, then down here, and then in front of this one. Loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Then on to the next layer. Tap the plus again, set the layer to clipping mask, and then for the next color, we will use this one, which is the seventh color in the second row. And for this one, we'll start here on the left and go up here in the center, and then downwards towards the right, and then loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Doing great so far. Let's make a new layer on top of this. Let's tap the plus, set the layer to clipping mask, then grab the next color, which is this one, 8th color in the second row. I'll start about here, make a wobbly line towards the right, go down here and back up, all the way to the right, loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Then another one. Let's tap the plus again to create a new layer, set that layer to clipping mask, and then we'll move on to the next color, which is the 9th color in the second row. And then we'll start a bit lower and make another wobbly line all the way to the right, go up here a little bit, create something like this, loop around to close the shape, and drag in the color. Now I just want a few more mountains in between this pink one and the dark one. So let's go to this pink layer, tap the plus for a new layer in between, and you can see that it automatically gets clipped to the circle as well. Now for this one, we will use the 10th color in the second row, and then we'll start about here. Make a wiggly shape like this, go down here, and then here we will go back up and make a shape like this. Then loop around, close the shape, and drag in the color. Next, I want to add some little details and some mist to these mountains. Let's start in the back with this one. Now I don't want to go outside of the shape, so what we can do with this clip layer, we can tap it and use alpha lock. So just like with the circle, now we can go outside of this shape, outside of the shape that's already on the layer. First, I'd like to grab a lighter color. We'll grab this one over here. That's the first color in the second row. And let's just add a few of these wiggly lines here on top. Just along that edge, to give it a little bit of interest, this mountain, some cracks here, something like this. Then we'll switch to the airbrushing brushes, use the soft brush, and we'll grab a lighter color. We'll grab this one over here, 3rd color in the 3rd row. And let's just go over the underside, or a bit beneath the underside to add some light there. And we can even go a little bit lighter. We can grab this color, second color in the second row, to go even lighter here at the bottom. Then we'll move on to the next mountain. We'll move on to this one. We'll set this to alpha lock as well. And then we'll want to go back to the calligraphy brushes and use the script brush again. And for the color, I'd like to use this one. That's the fourth color in the third row. And over here, let's create some shapes as well. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger actually. Let's go for 25%. And make some of these shapes just to add some very simple texture, some simple cracks here. Perhaps a little one over here and over here. And then for that mist effect, we will go back to the airbrushing brushes. Let's use the same color for now to go over this underside. And then let's go even lighter. Let's grab this color, this medium color over here, just by holding your finger on the screen. And then go over this area to add a bit of a pinkish touch. Then let's move on. Let's go to this layer over here. Again, we will set it to alpha lock. And then we'll switch to our previous brush under calligraphy, our script brush. And then for the color, we will use this one again, fourth color in the third row. And then let's add some of these cracks along the edge. Just a few are needed here. We can also add some light on this side. These don't need much. Then back to the airbrushing brush, the soft brush. And let's go over the underside with this color. And I feel like we can make the mountains a little bit darker perhaps, so we can make that mist look even better. It will make it stand out a bit more. What you can do if you want to make these mountains a little bit darker, you can go to the magic wand, then to use saturation brightness, and you can simply turn down the brightness a little bit. You could also play with the hue or with the saturation. I'm just going to turn down the brightness a bit. Then we will go back to the brush. And actually let's grab this color, fifth color in the third row. And then let's go over the underside to add that mist. Then let's move on to this layer. We'll set it to alpha lock. And the first thing I want to do is darken this one a little bit. We'll do that by grabbing this 10th color in the second row. And then let's go over this one, over the right side to darken that a little bit. And then we will switch to the calligraphy brush again, the script brush, and grab this color over here. The first color in the second row, we will use that for this area. Add a few of these cracks. And then for this one, we will just grab this color. Tap and hold your finger. And then we can add one over here as well. Then for some mist on that side, let's grab the soft brush again under airbrushing. And for the color, we will grab this one over here, third color in the third row. Let's go over that underside for that mist. We can also add a little bit over here. There. By the way, if you're happy with these mountains, you can just pinch these together with a circle like this and then move forward. Let's go to this one. Let's set this to alpha lock as well. And for this one, I just want to add a little bit of mist. Let's just stick with this color and gently go over the underside for a slight little mist. Then on to this one. First, make sure to turn on alpha lock. Then let's grab the calligraphy brush again, the script brush. And for the color, we will grab this one over here, fourth color in the third row. And then we'll add a little detail here. And then for the mist part, we need to go back to the soft brush under airbrushing. And let's grab this color over here, fifth color in the third row. And let's add that to the underside. Then again, if you're happy with these layers, you can just pinch them with the circle and continue with this one. Let's turn on alpha lock. Then let's add a few details with the script brush under calligraphy. And for the color, let's use this one, 7th color in the 2nd row. Let's just add some lines along these hills. Just a few. Using very little pressure at the end of these lines to make them nice and thin. I think this is perfect. Now let's switch to the soft brush under airbrushing. And for the color, we will grab this one over here, 5th color in the 3rd row. Let's make a nice bright mist at the bottom. And then once you have that, you can continue moving forward to this one. Let's turn on alpha lock for this layer as well. And for this one, I just want to add some mist. So let's go over this lower part to create something like this. So once you're happy, you can pinch these together so you just have one circle with all the mountains. Next, we are going to add a few more hills. Let's tap the plus and set the layer to clipping mask. And then for the brush, we can go and grab the calligraphy brush again, the script brush. And for the color, we will go for this one, 1st color in the 3rd row. And at first, we'll make a wobbly line like this. Loop around to close it and drag in the color. Then we'll make another layer on top of this. So tap the plus, set it to clipping mask, and then grab the next color, 2nd color in the 3rd row. And let's make another one. And I'm making it curve a bit with our circle, with our sphere. Then drag in the color, add another layer on top. Let's tap the plus, set the layer to clipping mask. And then let's grab that 1st color in the 3rd row again for a little bit more over here. Loop around to close it and drag in the color. Then let's turn alpha lock on for these layers. Now you can tap the layer and then turn on alpha lock, or you can swipe to the right with 2 fingers to easily turn alpha lock on. You know alpha lock is turned on when you see that little checkerboard pattern. Let's start with the top one and let's grab a different color. Let's grab this one over here. That's the 7th color in the 3rd row. And for the brush, we already have the script brush, and that's what we need actually. And now let's just add a few of these lines on these layers just to add a little bit of interest here, a little bit of variation, just like these wavy lines. You don't need a lot. Not even sure if you can properly see it on camera. Now let's move to this one, the bottom one here. So that's the one in the back. We're using the same color on this one. So just some wavy lines. Like that. Then we'll move to the middle one. For that one, we will use a different color. We will use this one over here, 6th color in the 3rd row. And then let's add some of these wavy lines here as well. All right, next we will add a few trees. We will do that behind these layers. So first we need to tap our circle, then tap the plus. And then for our brush, we will go to the Treasure Chest brush pack. That's my free brush pack. You can get it by going to freefromflow.com. And we will scroll down to the Pine Tree Broad brush. And for our color, we will use this one over here. That's the 7th color in the 3rd row. Or the 8th. No, that's the 8th color. Sorry. 8th color in the 3rd row. And the opacity is set to 100% and the size is set to 12. And then let's add a few of these trees right here. just like this. And now if your trees aren't standing out that much over here, what you could do is go to this layer where we have our mountains, and you could simply grab the soft brush. Let's just go to recent brushes. We can grab the soft brush, grab that light color again, that fifth color in the third row. And with your soft brush, you could go over here to make them stand out a little bit more. Now let's move on. Let's make a new layer on top of this one. So let's tap the plus. Let's go back to our pine tree broad brush. And for the color, we will go to the next one here, ninth color in the third row. And we will make some more of these trees in front of the others. Some over here as well. Bigger one here. You can just make multiple dabs to make a bigger tree. And I will make another layer on top of this one. So again, tap the plus. And now let's grab a different tree brush. Let's go back to the treasure chest brush pack and grab the pine tree long brush. And for the color, we will grab the 10th color in the third row. The opacity of this brush is at 100%. Let's set the size to 30%. And then let's make a long tree over here. I'm just tapping multiple times. One over here and here and a few here. And then some smaller ones. So you get something like this. Now, since these trees are inside of the sphere, if you would look at them, it will probably get curved a little bit. So I want to emulate that by going to the Move and Transform tool and using Warp here. And then we can just twist our trees a little bit and make them curve just slightly with our sphere here. It can be very subtle, but it'll add a little bit to that sphere effect. I think this looks fine. Then let's go to the layer, tap it, and turn on alpha lock. And let's add a slight little mist here. Let's go back to the recent brushes at the top and grab the soft brush. And for the color, let's just grab this one, 9th color in the second row. Now let's gently go over the underside, just for a little bit of mist. I'm happy with the way our landscape looks. So let's pinch these layers together. And then it's time to add that magical lighting effect. That will really make this look like a sphere or like a marble with a landscape inside. What we'll do first is tap the plus for a new layer, set that layer to clipping mask. And I want to darken the outside of our sphere a little bit. And we'll do that by setting this layer to multiply. We'll tap the N, and then we'll scroll up. And we'll set it to the multiply layer blending mode. And that will make everything a little bit darker without losing any of the detail. And for the brush, we will use the soft brush. And for the color, let's grab a purple. Let's grab this one, for instance, 6th color in the third row. And then we will go along the underside and the sides over here a little bit. Make a rounded motion. Just like this. This is already adding a bit of a 3D effect to our sphere. Next, I want to add a slight light edge around our circle. Let's do that by creating a new layer on top of the others, tapping the plus. Then for the brush, let's go and grab the monoline brush. And for the color, we will use the 7th color in the first row, which is actually white. And then let's make a circle. Like this. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen for a perfectly round circle. And here at the top, you can tap circle and move this around. And I mostly want that edge to be at the top part of our circle. So this will be fine as long as it touches here. Then we can go to the layer menu and set this layer to clipping mask so it only shows up on our circle. You can actually also go to the Move and Transform tool, set it to uniform, and move it around a bit. Let's turn off snapping actually. So you can move it around until you just have a light edge at the top. And then we'll go to the layer menu, tap the N and set this layer to screen. Screen makes everything a little bit lighter. Now to fade it a little bit on the edges, you can tap the layer and give it a layer mask by tapping mask. Then on this layer mask, we can paint with black with our soft brush. Let's set it to black by double tapping here. And now we can paint over here to mask a part of that light edge and to gently make it fade there. Now we'll do something similar. We'll make another layer on top of this. Let's tap the plus, set it to clipping mask. Then for the brush, we will use the monoline brush again, and we will make another circle like this. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, make a circle like this. Then let's go to the move and transform tool. We can turn snapping back on to make sure that this is centered. And now we can drag this color on the outside. Then we will set this layer blending mode to screen as well. So we'll tap the N, then scroll down to screen, and we will lower the opacity all the way down to 14%. Then we'll also give this a layer mask, just like we did before. So we'll tap the layer, then tap mask. And then again, with our soft brush, we are going to fade a part of this. We will go along the underside here to get rid of the light edge there. And you can also fade it a little bit here at the top, just slightly, so that it's very, very subtle. Then for the next one, we will repeat this step. We will tap the plus for a new layer. Let's set it to clipping mask, even though we will stay inside of the shape. Somehow it feels better to turn on clipping mask. Then for the color, we will use this one over here, second color in the second row. And for the brush, we will go back to the monoline brush. Then we will make another circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen. Then go to the move and transform tool, place it in the center, and then we'll make another circle inside. Let's tap the plus for a new layer, and then let's make another circle. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and then for this one as well, go to the move and transform tool and make sure that it's centered. Then we'll pinch these two together and drag in the color into our ring. Then we'll also set this layer blending mode to screen. So we'll tap the N, scroll down to screen, and we'll set this to 80%. Then add a layer mask. So tap the layer, add a mask, and then we will make an oval shape here. Here at the top, you can use ellipse to change it a bit. Make it a bit wider. So something like this. Then you can drag in the color. And then let's also remove this lower part. So make a shape, loop around, and then you can drag in the color. Then let's also grab the soft brush to gently fade this lower part. Make multiple strokes so you don't see that crisp edge at the bottom anymore. Here as well. So these are like the light boxes in this room where this sphere is getting photographed. These are the light boxes on each side and they are reflecting on the sphere. Let's also blur them a little bit. We can do that by blurring our layer mask layer. So just go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, and slide to the right just slightly. Let's go for 3%. And then tap the magic wand again. Next, let's work on our background. Let's go to layer 1, and then for the color, let's grab this one over here, second color in the first row, and we already have our soft brush. And let's go along the outer edges here. Add some darker corners like this. And then we can use the magic wand and use Gaussian blur and slide to the right to create something like this. Then for the lower part, for the area on which this sphere is lying, we are going to make a new layer. Let's tap the plus, and then let's just grab this color over here. First color in the first row, then we'll go to the selection tool, the S shape ribbon, set it to rectangle, and turn on color fill. This is a great way to make rectangles and immediately fill them with color. You will drag up and go to about here, below the halfway point of our sphere. And then it automatically fills with color. And then we'll go to the layer menu, tap this layer, and turn on alpha lock. Now we are going to add some color here. First, let's grab that dark color again, second color in the first row, and add a slight dark edge here at the top. Something like this. You get a nice separation between the wall and the floor. Then we'll move to this color, third color in the first row. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller. Let's go for 13% maybe, or 14. And then we'll go along this lower area, adding this warm color. And I also want to add some pink, this fourth color in the first row. Let's add that here. And then let's go to the magic wand, use Gaussian blur, and slide to the right to create this subtle color gradient. And I have set it to 38%. I do feel like the effect here near the edge is gone a little bit. So let's grab that dark color again and grab our brush and just go along one more time to create that effect. Then for a drop shadow, let's tap the plus for a new layer. And for our color, we will grab this one over here, fifth color in the first row. Let's make the brush a little bit smaller. Let's say 7%, and let's make the drop shadow here, where this ball, this sphere is touching the floor. Just something like this. Then I'd like to go to the magic wand, then go to motion blur and slide to the right to, well, let's say 60%. Then go back to the magic wand and use Gaussian blur. And again, slide to the right to soften this even more. Let's go for 12%. I want to make these colors in our background, I want to make them pop a little bit more. And what I like to do is go to the layer menu, and I'd like to use the layer blending mode overlay. Let's tap the plus and set this layer to overlay by tapping the N and then scrolling down. And the overlay blending mode is really great to give your colors a boost. We'll do that by using this color over here, fifth color in the third row. And we'll use our soft brush. We'll just make it a bit bigger again. Let's go for 30%. And then let's go over our background with rounded motions. And you can see how this nicely gives a boost. If you can't really see it, then just turn this layer on and off and you'll see that nice little boost. Now this surrounding, it will reflect a bit on our sphere. The light will bounce from this floor and it'll reflect that color on the underside of our sphere. Now let's go back to our sphere layers and make a layer on top of this one where we have our slight little ring. Let's tap the plus. And for the layer blending mode for this layer, I'd like to use hard light. I don't use it very often, but I found that this one gives a nice effect on the underside of our sphere. Sometimes it's just about experimenting with different layer blending modes and seeing what effect you'll get. And for the color, we will use this one over here, third color in the third row. And we'll stick with the same brush and we'll just gently go over the underside here and add that slight light glow. Just very gently. Then we'll make another layer on top. We'll tap the plus. We'll stick with the normal layer blending mode here. And for the color, we will use this one over here. Sixth color in the first row, a nice pink. And I want to use it to add some more reflection here on the side. A little bit of pink there and over here. And we can make the brush a little bit smaller, 17%. Just make a slight little light edge. And you can see that I'm keeping my pen on the outside of the shape. I'm not going directly over the shape. This way you can make very subtle changes. And that's it. You have created a fantastic looking landscape in a sphere. I think you should be proud of yourself, so go ahead and share your result. I can't wait to see it. Maybe you're all hyped up and you want to turn this into a street, then I think you might like this tutorial next. I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.